Well, I think for the ARPM Congress in next week in Maastricht, we have great sessions. Obviously, the opening session is one not to be missed by the famous Diana Bianchi, and her title is How to Discover Fetal Treatments with 20,000 and plus genes and thousands of developing pathways, Down syndrome as an example. I think that's a very hot item and a very important one. Then there is a good session on the relation between placental problems and oocyte donation and other aspects of abnormal placentation leading to growth retardation on one hand and obviously obesitas on the other hand. This is of great importance because we see more and more fertility problems on one hand, where we have donor oocytes or reproductive techniques which influence fetal growth, and on the other hand we have the women that get a higher BMIs and fat babies, and certainly people like the previous president of the society, Jerry Visser, is talking about the big babies and what is the right growth. So these are important issues, I think. Furthermore, we have discussions on prenatal screening, the NIPT, which is very hot. Diana Bianchi is going to tell a bit on it, but we are going to discuss it between countries. Well, how far are we and how far have we come? And a bit later on, after the NIPT time, we go to prenatal diagnosis in the people talking about fetal surgery, famous speakers like Jan de Pret from Leuven about the FET procedure in congenital diaphragmatic hernia. What is a debate at the moment is, of course, the place of birth discussion. Even in the New York Times, it was recently discussed whether or not America should introduce it again. And this is, Maastricht is a good place to discuss that, because in the Netherlands we have still something like 28% deliveries with a midwife without an obstetrician present, and we have still some 14% home deliveries. And I think the Netherlands is the only country in the developed world that has such a high percentage of home delivery. Many people are anxious for that and think they should introduce it in their country, but there are really great disadvantages if you don't have that organized. And Frank Chervenak from New York, a well-known obstetrician and ethical subject, is going to discuss whether or not we should promote the home delivery, and that will be a great session, I suppose. We also have sessions on fetal monitoring and the new guidelines on how to judge CTG and how to look at the fetal condition antenatally and during labor. After birth, we have the session, the neonatal sessions, of course. First of all, the discussion on late clamping, which is an important issue, whether or not there are differences in late or early clamping, and then the effects of immature babies, new ventilation techniques, use of oxygen, long maturation. So how can we treat the premature babies better on our neonatal intensive care units? And there is also a discussion on the size. How big should we be, and what's the relation between neonatal care in neonatal intensive care units with the number of babies treated on an annual basis. Not only ventilation techniques, but also feeding techniques. What sort of feeding do we want, and what is the what is new in that, and those are very important issues. Of course, a lot on omics, the biomics, genomics, and what is the future of babies born after cesarean. What is the they have other microbiotics in their gut born after elective cesarean, and what is the long-term follow-up. For the long-term follow-up, obviously the brain is very important, and one of the great speakers is Linda de Vries, who's a famous pediatric neurologist who will present a lot of data on the neurology after babies born with hypoxia, term or preterm, and of course the babies born very prematurely. That is, those are the main topics, I would think, and there are general topics that are of crucial importance. For example, the diabetes and pregnancy discussion for both obstetricians and neonatologists, innovations, inventions, because the incidence of diabetes worldwide is increasing rapidly, and it is important to see how we can treat the mother better, because for the baby a good start is important for the rest of life, and of course how do we treat the baby born from diabetic mothers. And as we all know, that babies born with a certain condition can have lifelong sequelae. That is known from the DOA theory, for example, the developmental origins of health and disease, and we are very glad that Professor Mark Hansen is one of the keynote lecturers to discuss that issue. Well, there are many more exciting sessions to be found on the internet site. There are some final changes which may even improve the sessions, but I think there are many possibilities. There are also not only keynote lectures but also many parallel sessions, so you really have an enormous choice between the fields of interests, and I think there is no delegate who would find a time of the day that there is no interesting session. There is always something interesting going on. As a summary, this is enough for the moment, I would think. Perhaps there are questions.
I know Lena just joined us. Professor Hellstrom.
Very good.
To get in, I'm sorry for my delayed appearance here.
No worries.
Yeah.
Professor
Lena, I have mentioned a few topics and sessions which I think are very important and exciting, and perhaps from your point of view you can add some more. Perhaps you will overlap a little bit, but that is good. That's what perinatal care is all about. So perhaps you can focus on what you think are the big issues on the conference next week.
Yeah, did you focus on the obstetrics parts or
certainly on the obstetrics part, and I mentioned a little bit on the feeding and the neurologic follow-up, for example, Linda de Vries, but yeah, you can that explain much better.
Well, I think the program is really exciting, and I think anyone can find lots of interesting talks and discussions in this program. We have a very wide range of topics, and which I believe should interest anyone. And as you said, we have very nice, modern discussions about microbiota and metabolic syndrome, for example. And now I can see you. I don't know if my speaker is my webcam on. No. Okay.
I don't see you, but
Okay, I speak.
Click the webcam
So-
button. It should go.
Yeah. No, so the first afternoon on the 15th is as we have several courses, and then we have the opening ceremony in the evening, and then so the big scientific program starts on June 16th in the morning. And I must congratulate you and Luc that you have made such a nice program, Jan. So the first day we have various topics. I think some of the very interesting sessions is the one about preterm neuroprotection, different aspects of this, including neuroprotection which we can offer when the child goes home. So postnatal intervention and home intervention with Aleid van Wassenaar from the Netherlands, who is an expert on this. And we also have talks about long-term outcomes of asphyxiated babies and of very preterm babies. We have talks, relatively lots of talks about in ventilation in neonates and oxidative stress and inflammation, with really top-notch speakers in the program. On Friday, we continue. We have one session about timing of umbilical cord clamping, which has more recently been shown in long-term follow-up studies to be very beneficial, both for healthy term babies and to have a delayed cord clamping, and also in very preterm children. And Ola Andersson and Heike Rabe will tell us much more about that. At the same time, we have a very nice session about bronchopulmonary dysplasia with Christian Speer and Boris Kramer, among others, I would say. We can look forward to hear some very interesting news about the treatment and care of babies with these severe conditions. That day we have several interesting sessions. We also have about fetal therapy, and later in the afternoon we have something which I think the Dutch are very interested, but which we are also interested in from other parts of the world, and that is home deliveries. And we hope to learn more from the Dutch experience about the home deliveries. A parallel session is about pregnancy engineering. That is how can we manipulate the fetus or treat the mothers so we can have babies at a high age, or with the transplanted uterus, for example, and what are the results after this kind of treatments. We also have a session on developmental care, and on the Thursday we also discuss how to best create good neonatal intensive care units. The design of them is very important, both for the family and for the newborn babies. On Saturday morning, we also have some very interesting sessions about perinatal asphyxia and new treatments of perinatal asphyxia with Kobi Heinen, Jan Derks, and Marianne Torresen. We also have sessions about maternal disease in pregnancy, and we will hear how antidepressant medications may affect the fetus. And another parallel session, there is how should we best give nutrition to our preterm babies. We have, every morning we have oral communications, and also in the afternoon we have poster sessions where we really hope we will have good interaction between the presenters and the audience of them. So in the whole, I think we have a really attractive and nice program. I wonder, is there anyone who wants to ask me something?
Let's go to Mika. Miki, scusi.
Yeah.
Hi, Miki. Miki, are you available? I don't know if she's got her microphone on at the moment, but
Yeah.
that might be the case.
Okay. In any case, thank you, Lena, for this very useful other view on the Congress. Obviously, we duplicated some things, but that's only because there are parts in perinatology where we are all interested in. So that is very, very good. And
Yeah.
thank you also for your compliments. But let me again thank you, because you were a great help. I think the biggest part of the program is also because of all your help and assistance. Thank you very much for that.
We've got a lot of nice input from many people, I would say. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I look forward to next week.
So do I. I'm really excited about it. I'm happy you guys got the chance to really present today on what Congress or what sessions they can't people that attend ECPM can't miss, and it's going to be really a good webinar to see when we send it out on, or the people that attended as well, but also to the people we're going to send it out on our email blasts after. So it's going to be the information will be out there, so everyone will get a chance to view it.
All right.
Excellent.
All right.
So we keep it at that.
If you guys don't have anything else, I'll stop the recording and